United States supports creating 2 permanent seats for Africa on the Council.
So now the United States supports giving Africa 2 permanent seats at the Security Council without a veto power. A veto power. You know, what is a veto power? A veto power is an authority. That is authority that can stop a legislation or maybe a bill being passed. That means if Africa have a veto power, that means they can block any bill that are to be passed or maybe a legislation that they don't agree with. They can have the power to block it. But even if they accept a permanent seat at the Security Council, they don't have the power to block any legislation or bill being passed. It's totally useless. It's totally useless. It's just like you went to the meeting, you contributed out your opinion, but you don't have the power to say anything about whatever the outcome of the meeting is. Honestly, for me, I don't even agree with Africa being in any of these organizations. I've said it time without number that the day Africa will threaten that they don't want to be part of this organization, that is the day they will start respecting Africa. Just threaten them you want to exit the organization. You see they're coming for you because they know that all this organization is mainly for you. But they don't have the brain. I don't know what is wrong with our leaders. It's just a simple thing to do. But I don't know. I don't just know what is keeping them in chains. I don't know. Okay, let's look at the video and see what it is.
In addition to the countries we long supported for permanent seats, India, Japan, and Germany. In addition to non-permanent memberships for African countries, the United States supports creating 2 permanent seats for Africa on the Council. It's what our African partners seek, and we believe this is what is just. We have indicated that we support 2 permanent seats for Africa. How that plays out on the African continent will be up to the Africans to determine.
Okay, so permanent membership comes with a lot of perks, just like council membership comes with a lot of perks, and that's the veto. So these new members, are they going to have veto power?
So we've been very, very clear that we do not support expansion of the veto. And, you know, I've had a number of discussions with my African colleagues who put this kind of take it or leave it position on the table. We get 2 seats and we get the veto. And the reason we want the veto is because you have it. But the reason we hate the veto is because it makes the council dysfunctional. We don't want to give up our veto power. And we do think if we expand that veto power across the board, it will make the council more dysfunctional. The veto power is not all-encompassing. I was just checking before coming here. We've passed over 180 resolutions in the past 4 years. And these resolutions are passed with countries engaging with us to ensure that their priorities, their values are in those resolutions. So the council works despite the veto power.
The Africans will determine who those permanent members
They're
are.
going to run and have to be voted on by 193 members. But who are their candidates for this? They'll decide that themselves.
Because
it's not for me to tell the Africans,
right,
you need to take South Africa, or you need to take Egypt, or you need to take Kenya. They will determine who will run for their seats. But yes, we do have influence. We'll express our views. We're going to vote, and we're going to show an interest in particular candidates over other candidates. But will the candidate that we are in favor of win? I don't know. Again, I will leave it to the Africans to determine who they will put on the ballot to run before the General Assembly.
The bosses in the Security Council say you shall never have the powers that we have as permanent members. And we have asked and asked and asked. And asked and asked. Reform the Security Council. We'll fight a fight for our own identity, for our own integrity and personality as Africans.
View from the United States about supporting two seats on the UN Security Council is to be welcomed. It basically shows that what we've been saying over years, that a continent of 1.3 billion people not being represented on an important structure like the United Nations Security Council, in fact, diminishes the important role of the United Nations. So that type of statement coming from the United States is to be welcomed. And of course, they underpin it by saying non-veto. And we've got already a number of countries that are members, additional members of the UN Security Council from time to time, and many African countries do participate on an ongoing basis. So we would argue that we too, those who are added, must also enjoy the same right that the 5 permanent security members have, because adding 2 African seats without the same rights means that we become second-class citizens once again, and we demand and require that we should have serious participation on the UN Security Council. But the good thing is that in the past there's been reluctance in those types of bodies to even contemplate, a permanent seating of Africa on that body. So there's progress, there is movement. We now need to move the needle a little bit forward and say we cannot have second-class participation as Africa on the UN Security Council. How would Africa go about choosing those two? In the end, it's got to be an AU, African Union decision. So it's not for us as South Africa to vocalize that. It must be a decision that will be taken by the African Union, and we will abide by whatever decision is taken by the African Union.
New updates. I don't want to say breaking news. The United States supports creating 2 permanent seats in the UN Security Council for 2 African states with no veto power. Yes, you heard me right. They are going to create 2 permanent seats for 2 African states with no veto power. And they claim that this move is to repair ties with their African partners. And they think it is a just thing for them to do, to create those 2 permanent seats for their partners who have been requesting for it. Over the years, African leaders, every September, they spend a lot of money to go attend the UN Security Council meeting. They had no permanent seats in the UN Security Council. Now they have decided to create 2 seats with no veto power. Now, because I don't have sense, I want someone to explain to me, what is the difference with having 2 permanent seats with no veto power and not having permanent seats at all? Because I don't know. So please, someone help me explain this. And worthy of note is the fact that these people are so scared of the unity of this continent. They like how divided Africa is. They will do everything within their power to keep this continent divided. You see what Ibrahim Traore and co has done to them. It's shaking them. They are still going to make a lot of changes as time goes on. Most of the things that Africans have been requesting from them, and they have been saying no, they will start granting them now, just because they don't want us to continue speaking about unity in this continent. My dear African youth, this is to tell us that we are on the right track. Use your platforms and preach unity. We need to come together as a people and restore our dignity. They cannot continue to be manipulating us like this. Those 2 African states that they are going to pick now, if the rest of the countries in Africa are speaking about unity, these ones will not even talk about unity. So these people, everything they are doing to me is like trying to keep us apart. But this is solely my opinion about all of this. But I would like to know what you think about this whole setup down there in the comment section. Thank you guys so much for watching.